My name is Evelyn. I'm a speech therapist and I'm also the founder of Aphasia SG, Aphasia Singapore. We are the only non-profit organization that supports people with aphasia and their caregivers. I have been a speech therapist for more than a decade, and I have clinical experience in acute hospitals, in community hospitals, in nursing homes, in home care. With aphasia, so the explanation, or what the condition is really about is that there's a communication impairment when the left side of the brain, which typically controls our language centers, is affected by a brain injury. So, it could be a stroke, it could be a brain tumor, it could be a brain infection, it could be traumatic brain injury, or even progressive neurological diseases. Aphasia is an impairment to the language processing abilities. And when we talk about language processing, what it means is your comprehension could be affected. And by comprehension, it could be auditory comprehension, which means when you are talking to me and telling me something, I don't quite fully comprehend what you're saying. And it gets really bad when it's in a large group or in a noisy place. Or it could be, not comprehending words. So when I read, I can't make out what these words mean. Or I can decode, I can read the words, but I don't know the meaning anymore. So what we do as speech therapists is that we work with them in terms of their impairment. We find out what are their weaknesses, what are their strengths, and we try to improve their impairment, but also build on their strengths to be able to communicate better. But the other big part of what we do, and this is especially what we do at Aphasia SG, we try to train caregivers, we try to educate volunteers and the general public so that we can actually create an environment that is inclusive, that supports the person with aphasia. And I'm going to be here today talking about I'm going to be watching some videos produced by our friends from SMU SoundFoundry, and I will be commenting on them having fun, basically.
Hey everyone, I'm Valerie. I'm from SMU SoundFoundry, and today I'll try to explain some actions in Chinese. Yay! Okay, Chinese is my third language, so maybe 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10.
Hello there. My name is Daniel from SMU SoundFoundry as well. Today I'm trying to be explaining some words, foods in Chinese. Hopefully I won't embarrass my ancestors. So my Chinese is, I think I'm okay at speaking, like my vocab is kind of limited, but I'm like a little bit illiterate in Chinese. So we'll see how this goes. Maybe I won't be able to read the words that come out, but all in the name of fun.
First one, 参加一场精彩的爵士音乐会。
Okay, I mean, like I kind of got that. I think it's like you join an interesting concert or like a music festival or something like that.
爵士音乐爵士。
Oh, it's a jazz festival.
也吃着一碗美味的炸鸡。
Okay, I got the first few parts, but I have no idea what actually you're eating.
炸鸡。你知道鸡饭吗？鸡饭。
So like chicken, a bowl of delicious chicken. I was very good.
So I think, Valerie's really, really cute. I love that she's using a lot of gestures. And that's really something that sometimes what we do as speech therapists or even as caregivers to support our conversation with persons who have aphasia, because aphasia is a condition that affects language processing, which means the person who has aphasia could have difficulty understanding, like Daniel, and using gestures really help. So I love that she was a little bit off phonetically as well. I think the 炸鸡, she said 炸, so I think it should be 炸鸡, but she compensated by using gestures. But I think Daniel did a great job of guessing it as well. And the other thing Daniel said something also. What did he say just now? He was also trying his best to guess, And kudos to him lah for trying several times. And I think how that would relate to somebody who has aphasia is when we are communicating with a person. I mean, we have to keep trying. The person who has aphasia is trying, and it's also fair that we, as a communication partner, give them time and just let them communicate whatever they want to say, and eventually come to a meeting point. I would say, in a conversation. Cool. Yeah.
给童年朋友
Okay.
写字以分情信
Oh, okay. So like your childhood friend, I think that's what it is, and you're writing a letter, like a love letter or like a something like that.
拍一个大楼
You're shooting or what? You're filming or what?
拍
Yeah, like a photograph of something, right? You're like shooting something. What?
一个大楼
Or like a skyscraper? Like a big building? Like a photograph of a big building? Yeah.
为即将来临的考试写字笔记
Or like you're doing notes for exam, but what exam? Do I have to guess the exam?
即将来临的考试
Or like an upcoming exam. There's no like subject or anything. Okay, that's great. 第一个是好像一种印度餐，它是一种很扁的面面饼这样，他们通常会跟好像来咖喱跟一些酱一起来给你的，好像 roti prata 一样，可是另外一种是比较扁的。
Oh, so it's not prata.
不是。
Naan bread?
不是面包。
What does it taste like?
没有什么味道啊，他们通常会跟好像来咖喱或酱一起给你的，然后你会一起放进去那个咖喱，然后吃。
Alright, I might not even know the food, guys. I'm sorry. Any other clues, sir?
Yeah, I just want to say, like in this entire exchange, it's really interesting. The couple of things that struck me. One of it is how sometimes when the person with aphasia wants to say something and I'm having difficulty because the person is struggling, I end up saying what Valerie says. I may not even know this, but maybe I do. But there's always this level of uncertainty, right? And it makes the whole conversation challenging that way because you don't know if it's the word finding difficulty or really you don't know what this thing is, right? So that's one. And then the other thing is how Daniel at times actually struggled and say, how do you say this? How do you describe the taste? We have to remember that for people who have language processing difficulties, right, it is so challenging on many levels. When it comes to concrete items, in the first round, we saw how, we saw how you can actually try to gesture something like chicken, but when you're trying to describe taste, how do you do that if you don't have the words? You cannot gesture taste, right? Just like how you can't really gesture pain. Well, I guess you can grimace and try to act it out, but you can't. So, which is why we always say, when it comes to conversations, the onus cannot always just be on that person who has the aphasia, right? It's a shared responsibility. Everybody has to take ownership and really try our best to get the conversation going. Yeah, but so far they're doing great. Yeah, let's see if Valerie gets this one. Yeah.
华名字叫多塞。
So sad.
Yeah, that's the one. But did you actually know what Tosai was?
No, this is my first time hearing about it. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what goes inside. I don't really eat Tosai as well. 第二个，是一种饭。
好。
Right. 看呢，是你知道海南吗？是海南什么饭？饭跟一种肉一起的。
鸡饭 chicken rice。
对，所以你知道鸡饭有好像烧鸡，有那些不是烧鸡，还有酱油鸡嘛，还有另外一种鸡饭，那个颜色是什么来的？ 这种海南鸡饭就是这个颜色的，它的颜色是不一样的，颜色会比较不是那么深的。不知道那个鸡是不是蒸的，或是什么？鸡饭有很多不一样的葱，对不对？
对。
好像有烧鸡啦，有酱油鸡啦，所以这个颜色是不一样，只要猜那个颜色而已。
Okay, so they have different color. I didn't know they have different colors.
如果你用英文讲的话，有可能不会说颜色。比如你想买一碗鸡饭，对不对？然后你去那个店，然后你叫那个那主人哦，如果你不要烧鸡，不要酱油鸡，那另外一种鸡饭，你会叫你会用什么字来叫？
烤鸡 I don't know.
不是烤鸡，蒸，好像那个鸡好像是蒸的，是放在水里煮的。
Steamed.
啊，对。
Okay.
Whenever I go to the stores, I'll be like, 阿哥，我要鸡饭，白色的。
Daniel was struggling so hard, right? I think he was trying to say 白斩鸡 perhaps lah. Yeah, he was struggling so hard, and both parties were struggling. I have an anecdote to share. Like I have patients who have told me that they end up eating 菜饭 cai peng every day because it's the only food that they feel that they can order without speaking. They just point. Yeah. Because everything else will require them to maybe say something, right? And I think that's the challenging or sad, like one of the sad realities of having a communication impairment that is so invisible that you look fine, you don't have any physical impairment, but really you're struggling, right, to get the word out. And they end up just either one, eating food that may not be their first choice, but it's easy to order, or two, they end up eating whatever is being served to them. Yeah. So, which means if Daniel had tried to order and what was given to him is roast chicken, he will, and it's roast chicken, he will not refuse the order lah. He will just take it and eat it. Yeah.
Okay, the third one. 这是一种面来的，一碗面，然后是汤来的。那汤有点好像白色的，然后他们里面会放一些肉，那个海鲜肉这样的。那肉颜色也是白色的，一片一片的。这种一碗面有汤，有一片一片的海鲜。
So it's a type of noodle with soup.
对。那有时候这个肉他们也会炸的，就是炸什么肉面
Fish
Yes.
or something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. 下一个是一种西餐，是肉。通常这个西餐他们只是会给你好像这个肉，他们就给你肉，然后有些菜啦，有些马铃薯啦这样，然后他们会有一点好像酱放在上面的。这肉是从通常是牛的，从牛来的。
How does it taste like?
味道就像吃牛一样。
I love that Valerie always will ask about like the taste. It's one of the hardest things to describe, right? If you have word finding difficulty, I try to describe the taste. Yeah, that's really funny.
知道怎么解释味道？就是没有别的东西，只是那个肉，他们只给你那个牛肉，一个大牛肉，一个大块牛肉，所以没有什么饭，没有什么面的。
Okay, what food has beef in it?
这个只有牛肉，什么都没有，只有牛肉。如果你自己做的话，你可以去好像NTUC 买那个牛肉，然后你放在你的锅里，放一点油，然后你放进去，然后你等来2分钟、3分钟，然后你反过来。
火锅。
不是。西餐是西餐的。
哦 ，OK， 西
西餐只是一大块 ，yes， 对， Yes, a steak. Just a big piece of meat. 最后一个是农家小烤肉。烤肉你知道烤肉是什么吗？
知道。
就像那些牛串一样，就是烤那些牛串。
Where would you buy this food?
因为有些火锅地方会有，然后他们给你那些一串一串的什么不一样的肉，一些牛肉啦、羊肉啦什么，然后你可以自己烤，在火上烤的。
Alright, so it's barbecue and then
对对对。
pork barbecue.
Is that close enough?
I think that's close enough. Yeah. How do you feel when you were trying to explain, or when you were going through this exercise, when you're trying to explain this Chinese concept to the other person?
It's it was super tough. Like, I don't even know how to explain. Like, okay, if I had to explain Tosai to someone and I couldn't speak the words Tosai, right, I would have no idea how to explain it in any language. It's just like a thin, like biscuit or something. I don't know. So it's like in Chinese, it's even harder because my Chinese vocabulary is so limited. I was using like very, like simple words. So it was hard, and then like it's just a lack of vocab, I think.
And that's really how it is, you know, for somebody who has aphasia, the vocab becomes super limited and simple as well, right? And that's why you know you end up often, I think, when you're volunteer enough, you all know you hear patients or our participants saying things like, oh, what's that again? And then they end up using this method of describing, a little bit like what Daniel did, describing the features. And it's actually something that we use in therapy also, a strategy for the person with aphasia to learn to describe so that they can still convey whatever they're trying to say. Right? So even if I cannot at that moment find the word that I want to say, which is dose, I can describe the features, i.e. like how it looks, you know, well, not the taste obviously, but I can eat it with curry and everything else, so that whoever you're communicating with can maybe try to make a guess at it, right? This kind of method actually, you know, like is called like semantics feature analysis when we do it in therapy. But the method that the patient is using is actually called circumlocution, which is it's a very, very chim word. It's a very chim word, but what it means is they are talking around the actual word that they cannot find. Yeah, and some of our participants do it very well, right? And we tell them, hey, it's okay. It shouldn't bother you. Don't be too bothered by the fact that you can't find the exact word. Because more importantly, you are able to convey whatever you want to say, right? So in that case, in the case of maybe I want to get like let's say I want to get the 白斩鸡, right? Chicken rice. If I can't find the exact word, but I can describe around it, and the other person knows, hey, that's good enough. Yeah. So it's really interesting, you know, that Daniel should say like the vocab is limited, because, well, it is very much like what a person with aphasia would be like, right? The vocab becomes limited.
Like you kind of know what you want to say, but like you can't say it, like you can't express it.
I think it's kind of frustrating as well. Like, you have stuff going on in your brain, you know what you want to say, but you just cannot find like the perfect vocab to verbalize it. I think for Nikki's case, I don't even know the food. Yeah. Never.
I was handicapped, dude.
Okay.
I could hear her like googling the food in the background. Like, I've never eaten this before. What the hell?
Yeah.
So if you were to have this kind of situation in real life, like what do you think would improve your ability to communicate or like understand? If let's say you were dropped in China, for example, like what would be the tools that you might try to use at your disposal to help yourself communicate better?
Definitely like gestures,
Body
I
language.
guess. Yeah, body language for sure.
Google
Your phone, the internet, yeah. Google Translate's a big one,
Yeah,
dude.
correct.
Knowing what you do know now, and knowing that, of course, people with aphasia tend to experience these kind of issues on a regular basis. How would you encourage people to interact with PWAs in future?
You just have to be. Well, I think it's like just the awareness and understanding of what aphasia is in the first place will go a long way. And then of course like the use of like body language as well, being descriptive, being like deliberate in the intent you wanna and what you wanna convey. Yeah, it's like deliberate and clear, concise, that sort of thing. I think it helped for us when we were doing this, when we were like trying to get straight to the point and not be like super fancy so we could understand each other because we're all so bad at Chinese.
I think for me, just try to be more patient, I guess, because I mean, from this experience, we all know what we're trying to say. It's just we have trouble in finding the perfect word for it. Yeah, so just be patient. Don't belittle them.
Yeah.
Just help them find the correct word.
So I think to support a person with aphasia in conversation, I would like to just echo what Valerie said in the video. Be patient, be kind, be understanding. And it's not just aphasia, right? I think if you meet anyone who communicates differently, just try to be patient because we really don't know what the condition is. There are many other types of communication impairment. Aphasia is but one of it, but something that's very detrimental, I think, to the psychological well-being of a person. Yeah, and if you are a caregiver who is caring for somebody with a communication difficulty, get in touch with us, right? Get in touch with us via social media. If you are a healthcare professional who is seeking volunteer opportunities, get in touch with us as well. We always welcome any volunteers. Actually, you don't have to be a healthcare professional. If you're not a healthcare professional, you can still volunteer with us. But if you are a healthcare professional, we welcome you also to do more collaboration and training and workshop for the community. And to all youth who are watching this video, we just want to say, we hope that this is something that appeals to you, speaks to you. It's not. It may not be a very well-known social cause, but if you think you can contribute in terms of supporting a community that has invisible difficulties, reach out to us. We'll be happy to train you and support you in this volunteer journey.